At the start of summer, around April, I applied for a recreational leader position at a summer camp in Surprise, Arizona. A lot of people in my family have done similar jobs to like working with kids or working or coaching or teaching. So I wanted to give this kind of job a shot. I just recently like graduated high school, probably like 2 weeks before I got the job, and I remember being extremely nervous before the first day. But I don't know. I was excited and nervous. I was really looking forward to it. I was only scheduled for around 6 hour shifts with like Thursdays being up to 8 to 10. So, I mean, it was the longest I'd ever worked, but I thought that I'd be able to do it. Plus, it was just working with kids and playing games. So I thought it would be easy. And so I remember my first day. I drove up to the school. It was around 12, which is around the time that everyone was eating lunch. And I remember walking into the gym and just seeing like 150 plus kids all stare back at me and just go straight back to being crazy. And I don't know. It was definitely seeing that many kids was definitely a little scary. And at the time, I didn't know what age I was going to be working with because I was only expecting fourth grade and up. But I saw some littler kids that were like 6 or 5. So I was definitely a little bit worried because I've never worked with anyone that young before. I remember only like 30 minutes in, lunch was super messy. Kids were crazy. Everything was chaotic. People were yelling. I was running around doing everything, trying to introduce myself at the same time as well. And I just remember like only 30 minutes in, I felt completely out of energy. I mean, I was so tired. And it had only been 30 minutes. So I was like, this is bad. I should not be tired. I still have 5 hours and like 30 minutes left to go. After lunch finally ended, we went to rotations and I was put in charge of gym. I was in charge of the gym for most of the summer, but the first parts of the summer, it was definitely difficult because a lot of the kids didn't know me. They knew a lot of the other staff from previous years, but this is my first year. So none of the different grade levels of kids, none of them really wanted to listen to me. So I'd try to set up a game or try to organize this, and they didn't care. They did not think they'd listen to some new staff member, which fair, but it made things extremely difficult and a lot more stressful. But I eventually got stuff in order, and it was a long day of controlling PE. But it's also running around with them, making sure they're okay and not bumping into each other, getting ice packs, doing all kinds of things, little things that you wouldn't think are tiring. But I remember after my first day, I got home and I was so tired, like it hurt to walk. And I remember seeing my mom. She was excited to see me because it was my first day of work, and she wanted to know how my first day went. And I remember sitting down on the couch and talking to her, and then I just fell asleep right there because I didn't realize how tired I was, but I was just that tired. And then I woke up the next morning, and I did wake up and then went to bed, but next morning I wake up and I was honestly a little nervous because I was like, I barely got through one day. No, I got a Tuesday, then Wednesday, and then the huge third field trip on Thursday. So I was definitely worried. And Tuesday definitely was difficult. It was very similar to Monday. Wednesday, started to get the hang of it. Definitely a lot better. But then Thursday, I remember that day killed me. It really killed me. It was 10 hours long, and we were at like a play place, kind of similar to like a McDonald's play place, but just bigger. And kids were running around, kids were messing around. So many things were happening, and just trying to control it. And having my boss looking at me like, hey, you need to keep everyone in line. Very stressful day. And I remember at the end of the week, after Friday, I don't think we had camp that Friday, I talked to my mom, and I was generally considering quitting. I hate quitting. I never like to quit in things, but I was like, I don't think I could do 2 more months of this. Like, I genuinely don't think I could. But, she encouraged me. She was like, I've done this kind of job when I was younger. I know it's hard, but eventually you'll learn to really enjoy it. And I didn't really see how this could be enjoyable, kind of no one listening to you, people walking all over you, you got to control a bunch of crazy kids. I was like, this doesn't seem like something I would like to do. But I was like, okay, I'll do it for my mom. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it one more week and see how things go. The next week actually went pretty good. It went a lot better. Everyone was kind of, they were adjusted to having me there. My boss was used to me having me there. The kids were used to having me there. And, each week just got better and better. I started to get in a rhythm. Everything kind of came together, and I realized that I was really enjoying the job. And so much so, I'd wake up and honestly, I'd be excited to go to work. It was fun. It was a fun job. And, because of the habits of mind, the first one, persisting, because I persisted, and didn't give up, I was able to realize that, I honestly do love the idea of teaching, and teaching at summer camp was very fun. And now I'm even considering, majoring in education and possibly becoming a elementary school teacher. So this story is just to show how, not quitting and just really persisting and keep on going can show you, the beauty of things, and how, even though things are hard, you can learn to really appreciate them and in the end, love them. So I'm glad that, I had that experience, and I'm glad that I was able to be persistent and, finish out the summer. So, yeah.